Whew, it has been quite the week. Since the news came out on Thursday that Harry and Meghan are going to go their separate ways when it comes to the King's coronation, with him set to be ignored by his family in London while Meghan stays back in LA to work on her TIG 2.0 mood board, it has been a headline a minute type situation. There have been so many stories about transatlantic ping pong. Stuff saying that the absolute best Harry can hope for is a short hello from his cold family, and a lot of finger pointing, yelling, and also name calling on Twitter. It is enough to make any sensible type delete the app altogether. But there was something missing in the 48-hour storm. What name were we not really hearing? Well, it's the one person who seems to have been overlooked in all this clucking and arguing. Of course, I'm talking about Catherine, the Princess of Wales. We've got less than 3 weeks to go until King Charles and Queen Camilla are going to learn firsthand how difficult it is to wear a crown. Something interesting, though, is taking shape right now. The woman whose greatest achievement before she got married was organizing a charity roller disco and never once punching a paparazzo in the face is looking like she might be the biggest winner of all when it comes to this coronation. Now, the last commoner who married into the royal family was a woman named Elizabeth Woodville. Her story is rather tragic. Her sons got taken away to the Tower and they were probably murdered by their uncle Richard III. But Catherine, it looks like, has ended up as the most successful and powerful royal hire, maybe in the history of Buckingham Palace. When Coronation Day rolls around, it's officially Charles and Camilla's big day, but really it is going to be Catherine who appears set to triumph. Her evolution from just being an average university student with beautiful legs to a formidable queen in the making is going to be all but complete. For one thing, it looks like the media oxygen is mostly hers and hers alone. Now, there's going to be lots of large, splashy UK color pullouts filled with photos of a dignified looking Charles with a crown perched on his head, and also lots of long pieces about how Camilla went all the way from being the most despised woman in the UK to sitting in the gold state carriage. But really, the one person who more people are going to be watching than anybody else is Catherine. In more ways than one, it looks like the late Hilary Mantel might have been right when she described Catherine as appearing to have been designed by committee and built by craftsmen. Now, the author might not have meant that in a very nice way, but Catherine has turned out to be precisely what the British monarchy never realized it needed. She possessed the style and the attitude of somebody with the bluest of blue blood, and if I were a betting woman, then I would bet all my money on Catherine being an absolute dazzler on the big day. The fact that Meghan is not going to be there just made pulling off this coup de grace that much more of a sure thing. Meghan's attendance would have been the biggest possible distraction and symbolic detractor from Catherine, but since she won't be there, well, that possibility has just been taken away. Meghan's absence gives Catherine a clear run on the day, and it means that none of the editors from Fleet Street are going to have to run anything but adoring headlines. I'm going to be honest here. Now, it hurts my feminist heart that women are ever set up to compete against one another, but let's get real here. If Meghan had showed up to Westminster Abbey on May 6th, probably wearing some expensive couture because she has very expensive taste, then she and Catherine would have been relentlessly compared to each other. One of the biggest stories of the day would have been the interactions, or lack thereof, between Catherine and Meghan, and who came out on top when it comes to style. More seriously for Catherine, though, Meghan's presence would have meant the coverage would have brought up their difficult relationship again. The tears, the bridesmaids' dresses, fights, and accusations of baby brain. Essentially, the tabloids would have had a field day over the women's complicated history. But instead, Meghan's going to stay back in California, and conveniently, for the sake of Buckingham Palace, she will be out of sight. So Catherine is free to rule the day. I think we're going to see a lot of Kate the Great type news stories that are basically going to be tributes to how she is the most amazing thing to happen to the monarchy since they decided maybe they shouldn't marry their cousins. The coronation is going to cement Catherine's place in the history books. Catherine and Prince William's son Prince George is going to serve as one of his grandfather's pages, making him the youngest future monarch to ever participate in a coronation. Now, for any aspiring future queens or junior socialite types with their eyes on the next generation of crown princesses scattered throughout the most expensive boarding schools and military academies available, There is a real teaching moment in all of this. It's important to just stay patient and play the long game. For years, I've got to admit, I really underestimated Catherine. I didn't know that she was very useful. To me, she seemed like a throwback from a forgotten era, just so pliant, so docile, so demure. It seemed like her greatest achievement might be mastering the complexities of cutting ribbons. But I am so happy that I was wrong. What has really become obvious over the past couple of years is that all the while Catherine was popping out babies and keeping her knees hidden, it seems like she was actually keeping her head down and figuring out the rules of the royal game. It looks like she was carefully watching, she was listening, and she was learning. And then, once she really felt like she understood everything, she went about staging what may have been the world's quietest intra-organization coup. Catherine has government ministers, leading academics, and CEOs of some of the biggest corporations in the UK, all excited to support her early years foundation work as she tries to engineer what is basically something of a societal revolution about how people in the UK choose to raise their kids. Now, maybe it took her such a long time to accomplish this that in the meantime, since William and Catherine's engagement, we have had 6 UK prime ministers and Kim Kardashian has been married and divorced twice, but whatever. What's important is that in the end, Catherine certainly got there. And it looks like there is as a highly influential force, not only in the royal family, but in the wider British context. So I don't think it's an overstatement to say that much of the future of the monarchy does rest on Catherine's blazer-wearing shoulders. Does this sound like an almost impossible weight for one person to bear? Well, sure. But anyway, bring on Coronation Day and bring on the reign of Catherine and some power blazers, because as it turns out, it really is the quiet ones that you got to watch out for. And you, do you agree with me? If yes, please like and share this video with your friends and family members who would enjoy it. If not, let us know your opinion below in the comments section. If you preferred our video, please remember to subscribe